Good afternoon. My name is Janet Justice, and I work in the Education and Events Department at FTD. I want to welcome you to our webinar titled Holiday Selling Skills Revealed. Today, you will learn how to sell with confidence during the holidays and focus on the skills that have the most impact on your bottom line. FTD Education Consultant Ann Jordan will be leading this informative webinar. Ann has over 25 years of retail floral experience, which included owning her own shop in rural Maine. As an active member and the current president of the American Institute of Floral Designers, she has impacted the floral industry in many significant ways. Ann has also been recognized in her community as a business leader, being nominated for the Maine Small Business of the Year Award in 2004. Once Ann is finished with her presentation, we will open the webinar up for questions. If you have a question, simply type it in the question box on the upper right side of your screen. We will take the questions in the order they are received. Please feel free to submit your questions during the presentation, and we will hold them until the Q&A portion of the webinar. So without further ado, I would like to turn the call over to Ann to begin the webinar. Ann?
Yeah, I'm right here. Well, hello, everybody. Happy holidays. Hey, thanks for joining me. I know everybody is so busy, wrapped up with what's going on in your shops, but I got to tell you, this is such an important topic, and I think I can give you some skills today that you can be more profitable with. So I appreciate your time. I truly do, and I thank FTD for having this webinar, because I think with the economy just slowly ticking back, that some shops are showing some signs of increased profitability, and hopefully everybody will learn something today that they can immediately put into place where they can be more profitable. That's my goal for you for this webinar. One thing I'd like to say is we recognize that there are shops of all sizes listening in right now, that we have maybe some shops that are very large to some very small shops or new shops or more experienced shops, and that this is really for everybody. It's not suited just for the big guys or for the average shop. These are skills that any size shop can put into practice right away for gaining profitability. Now, effective sales techniques. Over the years, I've had 30 years of experience within the industry. I really noticed some techniques that really work. They're tried and true. And this is the way I want you to be thinking about this. Training to sell, training for sales skills is no different than taking a designer or a flower arranger and training them. It's no different than hiring a driver and training them. This is something that with the webinar, and you'll be able to download this whole thing yourself and have copies that you can share with your staff. It'll be on the FTD University site after the webinar closes, but you'll be able to take these things and put them into practice, and these things you can put into your training manual for sales staff. You need to be thinking of this exactly the same way as training anybody else in your flower shop, just like your sales staff and your drivers. Now, it's going to feel really strange at first for a lot of people. So it's not the mountain that we conquer, but ourselves. What we're talking about here is change, and change is so hard for so many people that they're used to doing things a certain way, and it's going to feel funny for them to maybe change the way that they greet customers or treat customers on the phone or for a walk-in sale. But change is part of the process, and that's what we need to make sure that your staff knows, because for some people, change in behavior to becoming having superior selling skills, it's going to feel like a monumental task. But I'll tell you, this is something we have to take very seriously. So if it means changing, then that's exactly what we're going to have to do. Now, getting through the Christmas season, this holiday season, well, after that, it's 6 weeks until, or even 7 weeks until Valentine's Day. And we know that January can be one of the slowest months of the year. We have to generate as many sales as we can at top dollar to get through Valentine's Day. So that's part of the reason why this is so important. Now, Sales training, just saying that, it sounds so, I don't know, boring or old-fashioned. It sounds like something that's going to be hardcore sales training. Let's turn it right around and think of it as customer service. And that's really the way I want you to be thinking about what we're going to be talking about today. It's not a boring topic. It's how we're going to service the customer. Now, we're going to train your staff to sell. But here's the number one thing, and this is something I want you to write down right now. Whose responsibility is it? Whose job is it to train the sales staff to sell? Do you have a name in mind right now? Or is it you? And how are you going to make these people accountable? How are you going to track this? And we'll give you some tips on that as we go along. Now, from time to time, I go on the Harvard Business Review, but in planning for this webinar for FTD, I found a really interesting article. And first, we might want to consider what the attributes of sales staff might be. And I found this really interesting study. I find in most shops, I'm not seeing people really with great selling skills. I'm finding what we call order takers, people that they're really good at just jotting down or typing in and doing the data entry, but maybe they're not so good about selling. And so let's find out what the attributes to top sales staff might be. According to Harvard Business Review, one of them is that these people are modest. Now, we generally think of top sales staff as being pushy, that stereotype that they're egotistical, but the study shows that people that sell better are more modest and they're humble people. So when you think of the salespeople as being full of bravado, well, those people really alienate far more customers than they win over. So we want our sales staff to be more modest. Now, next thing is being conscientious. Now, these people would be described as having a strong sense of duty or being responsible and reliable. These salespeople take their jobs very seriously and feel deeply responsible for the results. Does that sound like anybody on your staff right now? Achievement-oriented. Now, these people, this type of person is fixating on achieving goals, and they're continuously measuring their performance in comparison to their goals. Does that sound like anybody on your staff right now? The next thing is good salespeople are naturally curious. So people that are curious, well, these are the people that hunger for knowledge and information. Lack of discouragement. Now this one kind of intrigued me. So these are the people that they don't get frequently overwhelmed. They don't get discouraged. So if a new thing for your staff is to make sure that everybody is encouraged to have add-on sales, then if this person doesn't sell that balloon or the candy the first time, and the next time they didn't sell the stuffed bear either, they're not going to get discouraged by that. So that's what's going to make that person the perfect person to maybe train your sales staff. Lack of self-consciousness. Well, that was kind of an interesting to read, but what it basically means is these people that have, they're really good at selling, they're not bashful. They don't get embarrassed very easily. Now, having these things in place, having this person that you might be able to find that has all these things, well, maybe you might not find somebody that has all of it, but you'll find somebody that has most of this. And the difference really is our top sellers aren't order takers. The difference is sensitivity and sincerity and attitude, and all these things can be learned. We're really looking for people that are problem solvers and suggestion givers. So who are we really looking for? Are we looking for the optimist, the pessimist, or the realist? We're really looking for that opportunist. And who in your company is best suited? Who in your company is that opportunist? When hiring seasonal help, this is when it's going to be really important. And a lot of us do bring in extra people to help us through the holidays. And one of the last things you really want that person to do is maybe pick up the phone until they're truly fully trained. And so whoever this person is going to train your staff to sell, needs to be who your company needs them to be. All right, so we're going to give you the tools to do that. But before we do that, let's look and see what's influencing customers' behavior. Now, Bob Williams of Smithers Oasis gave this wonderful presentation at AIFD Symposium, and then he also repeated it again at SAF Convention. And as many times as I hear this message, and years can go by and the message remains the same, this is what is influencing the customer's behavior. So FTD thanks Smithers Oasis for sharing some of their research and data with us. Quality is number one. So quality of product, and then value is number two. And that's what's influencing consumers' buying habits and their behaviors. So what does that mean, really? To me, the first thing I'd be doing is checking my care and handling procedures. Quality of product and value of product are so closely related with longevity. So making sure that you're not buying too much product, so you're holding it too long. So longevity is going to be really important there. Third one is the courtesy of your sales staff, number three. Number four, that we're able to deliver custom orders, and then it moves on to the quality and the selection of your product. So within the top 5 things, quality is mentioned twice. Now, these things we focus on maybe more than quality and value is desirable colors and fashionable colors. Now, that's fits into the design portion of what we do. And we're going to focus on what customers really want. We're going to be working on quality, value, and the courtesy of our sales staff. But on this next study, now this study is a different study, but very much the same. So this is looking at price as it is related to value. Longevity, again, very important. The greater the longevity, the better the quality of the floral gift. Now the next 3, if you're a designer, ought to really pique your interest. Unique and trendy presentations add value to the gift, and the uniqueness makes the gift more desirable and personable. And customization also makes the gift more personal. Now this is what we do. All of these things, this is who we are. This is what we live and breathe. So knowing that that's also what the consumer's preferences are ought to make you feel really good, because this is what we can do, and we can do really, really well. When I read this both times, I got really excited because this is something that we can be committed to. Now, before we get going and training our sales staff, there's a few tools that should be in place. You might have some of this stuff already taken care of within your business, but let's look and see what it is. First, a price guide. Nobody likes to wait. Well,